after 6 o'clock, so I think it's time that we probably call our meeting to order. And as we do at every meeting, we start with an invocation and then the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'm going to ask you to stand, please, while Mr. Morrison leads us in our opening invocation.
If you would, bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you with bowed heads and thankful hearts. Thank you for another day, Lord. Thank you for many blessings of life. Thank you for those gathered here tonight. Pray your blessings upon them, for safe travels as they return home upon closure of the meeting. We pray for those in our community less fortunate this holiday season, Lord, that through our Angel Tree and other programs that we'll be able to lift them up and give them a better holiday. Pray for those touched by sickness and death, that you just reach down and comfort them and lift them up in their time of need. Pray for the Whitefield family, that you continue to watch over them, and we're thankful for the news of improved condition. Pray that you'd see them through the rest of their journey and healing process and continue to lift them up. It's in your name we ask these many things. Amen.
Chief Harmon, would you direct us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Blythe, if you please call the roll.
Honorable Mayor Fowler,
Here.
Honorable Vice Mayor Norris,
Present.
Honorable Councilman Bilbrey,
Present.
Honorable Councilwoman Hawkins,
Present.
Honorable Councilman Hill.
Present.
All right, I'll ask you to consider the first item on our agenda this evening is to consider approval of the agenda as it's presented. We've had a chance to look at that as well as the minutes, so I will entertain a motion at this time to consider approval of the agenda.
I make a motion.
Second.
Ms. Blatt?
Mayor Fowler,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris,
Yes.
Honorable Bilbrey,
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins,
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
Second item, consider approval of the minutes of the council meeting held on November 12th. I think we've had a chance to review those. I'll ask you now if there are any changes, any corrections, additions that should be made.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Ms. Blatt?
Mayor Fowler,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris,
Yes.
Honorable Bilbrey,
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins,
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
Under new business, we have to consider approval of suspending the reading of ordinances 642-19, 643-19, and 644-19. We are going to discuss those as we go through our meeting, and at this time, it's probably not necessary to read each motion until we get to the action item on that. I would make a motion that we suspend the reading of those ordinances. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Flatt?
Mayor Fowler,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris,
Yes.
Honorable Bilbrey,
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins,
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
Item number 4 deals with ordinances 642-19. Consider approval on second and final reading of ordinance 642-19 to amend the fiscal year budget of of 19 and 20. This was what we discussed previously, that for budgeting purposes, the police department had made expenditures for, to fix a wrecked vehicle, and also an expenditure for employee training. However, for the vehicle, they received reimbursement from the insurance company, and they were also able to get a grant which covered the employee training, so that it was actually a net of zero. Whatever they spent was then actually recovered. So before the final reading of this ordinance, the floor is now open for public comment, if there is any. Not having any public comment on ordinance 642-19 to amend the FY 1920 budget, I will entertain a motion to approve the ordinance 642-19.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Blatt, please.
Mayor Fowler,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris,
Yes.
Honorable Bilbrey,
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins.
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
All right. Item number 5. That is for public comment before second and final reading of ordinance 643-19. This is to consider approval of second and final reading of 643-19, amending the zoning classification of approximately 5.23 acres on East Main Street from R1 to C and CA to I1. And I think all of us have been refamiliarized with the general description of what a CA district is, the permitted uses and structures, conditional uses, as well as what the I1 district provides for. This was approved on first reading. And if you recall, it was here based on the changes and a presentation was made by the property owners regarding their intent of what they were going to use the property for. This is for the proposed storage building units. The floor is now open for public comment concerning this proposed change of zoning. Are there any comments?
Mayor, if I could very quick.
Sure, Mr. Savage.
So everyone knows I represent the Ross Brothers Storage. I have prepared a little booklet for each council member, if I could approach.
Sure.
I prepared one for each council member.
Thank you.
To look at that. A little bit better than what I had. On the slide. Some of that was a little small. Basically, the first page, the blue tab, is just the zoning request application, which I'm sure most of you have seen, but I did want to put that in there. Next, after that, under the green tab, that page shows what the existing zoning is right now and what the proposed zoning is. Basically, it is 5.23 acres. Part of that, however, is already zoned as general commercial. So that would be the change that we're requesting be made. If you go to the next tab, the red tab, that is an aerial view of what the proposed site would look like. And we have put on there where we believe that the storage units would be located. As you can see, it is back off 111. It is really ideally suited for this because it's not close to anyone's home other than the home that's on the property that belongs to Ross Brothers. The next page is an estimate as to what the tax increases would be. Mr. Whittenberg has prepared those for us. He is here tonight if anyone has any questions about that. Basically, if I'm reading this correctly, it looks like the taxes are going to go up to about $3,293 as far as the city and all of Augley is concerned. County taxes would be much more than that. The next page is a drawing of a plat that I showed you the last time, which basically shows the distances from the proposed property to the nearest homes. Most of the homes are farther from this property, or a good part of them are farther from this property than they would be from the light industrial that's at the top that sits down at 111. And then the last page, when we were here the last time, there was a question about were we going to use this for just storage units? We are. Ross Brothers instructed me to prepare a grant of restricted covenant indicating that it would be used only for the purpose that we've said it would be used for. They are willing to be bound by that, and that is their intention. Just very quickly, I don't know if everyone was here the last time. This is what the proposed front will look like of the storage building. Again, I would note that they are at a 22-degree angle, which is a little unusual for around here. That allows for access by handicapped people. The doors will be fully automated, so you don't have to lift the doors. It's going to be a first-class facility. These folks are used to running these, and they intend to be a part of the community.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Hey, have you gotten any pushback from any adjoining neighbors? I mean, I appreciate this. This is fantastic that you've got, you know, you see that I mean, 700, if I'm interpreting your thing here, you know, your distances are 600 feet from the adjoining neighbors on the western side.
Yes.
And you all own the property that it's sitting on now.
Yes.
So your closest homeowner is 550 away.
Well, I believe it's actually a little closer to that.
There's some, right, the little.
Let me find it here. If you look at, I think there's one down at the very bottom on the southern end. That's pretty close to the end of the lot. Looks like it's about 196.22. I believe, I was not at the meeting with the planning commission, but I believe that those are the folks that were present that did not object to it. I think is what I've been told.
Do we know if then homeowners to the west have had notice, and do we know if they know about it?
As far as I know, that was going to be published. I know there is a sign.
There's a sign there. It's been published, as well as a letter that was sent to each adjoining property owner by Tommy Lee, with planning director.
Good.
Mr. Buck was present, which is the closest neighbor. He was in agreement that this was a good fit, and he felt like it was an acceptable versus what some of the other considerations were. So he was in agreement that this was okay, and that he felt they would be good neighbors.
Is he the one to the northernmost here?
Nope, farther down south,
Down
all
here?
the way down here.
Okay.
He should have been the closest one to that. Then there's some that are closer to another I-1 industry on Mirandy. I think maybe Bill owns that home that's closest to it. So he is an adjoining property owner as well.
Oh, okay.
Mr.
What's your
Ross
take?
is here if anybody has any questions for him. Mr. Wittenberg is here if anybody has any questions for him.
Have you had any, so again, no, you've not, Keith, you've not received any negative, I mean, anyone that's come and said, hey, I'm just totally
The
against
first initial meeting was opposed to it being on East Main Street. Once they found out it was going to be on the back half of the property and nowhere near East Main, they were happy. We don't have a problem with it. all the entrance exit was from 111. That was their primary concern. Once they found out that wasn't happening on East Main, they didn't feel any opposition at all. Were you guys planning on running this on sewer or having a dump station or anything on site that would require sewer?
My understanding is that they were planning to have a dump station on site.
Were or not? They were or were
They
not?
were.
Okay.
They are.
What does that do to us?
Just means that as the developer, they would probably need to run either a sewer extension line out to that property, provide sewer out to that area, or if they can perk it, they could possibly get a septic tank from the state permit. So they have two options. Typically, a developer would just run sewer line extension off of our line up through there and do that.
And worst case scenario, okay, so I've reviewed, C and I. Worst case scenario, we vote to rezone it and they come and just, they end up walking out and selling it. What are some of the other, we're expanding the usage of this property, so what, Keith, I'd love to hear just kind of what are some of those other things that, and I appreciate you're doing this covenant, that is fantastic and gives us a little reassurance that you're intending to use property what you're conveying, but I'd love to know, worst case scenario, what else could this property be used for if and when this gets finally rezoned?
We're currently on 111 near this property. Of course, you have their other business, which is RLC, which is truck component sales and upfit. You also have a welding and fabrication shop just down from them at Mirandy and 111. Those are both in the I-1 zone. I-1 allows a permitted use of light industrial use to manufacture textiles, apparel, fabrication, assembly of metal, wood, or other materials or similar uses, including offices and associated employee facilities. They could do wholesale, warehouse, or a storage use, building material sales and lumber yard, a machine shop and blacksmith shop, truck terminal, animal hospital, laundry and dry cleaning establishments, farm implement sales, new and secondhand automobile sales, yards, and use of a similar nature, mini warehouse and moving storage, which is what they're asking for. That's not allowed in general commercial currently, so that's the reason for the rezoning request. Banks, offices, personnel and business services, restaurants, motel, wholesale, and retail. Conditional use, which will require BZA approval, is other uses is the same general character but not listed as a permitted use. Daycare center, convenience market, gas pumps, telecommunication towers, self-storage facilities. I may have that backwards. And a meat processing facility. Prohibited use is anything not specifically mentioned or factory manufactured structures built to HUD codes in single or multiple sections. Cannot be used for non-residential use.
Say that one more time. You cannot use for any residential?
Non-residential.
Non-residential.
Have you, the numbers on here, so have you reviewed these numbers? I mean, are these accurate?
First time I've seen them, so I'm not sure.
Do you anticipate a tax increase?
It's going to bring in tax revenue, yes. If you have RV storage, you're probably going to have people fueling up, doing things of that nature. Going to Walmart to fill up the refrigerator with groceries before they head out, things of that nature. So it would generate additional revenue, as well as the commercial property having the structure on it. It's going to create additional revenue. So it is going to bring in some extra money.
Thanks.
Those numbers, when I got the tax rates and everything for the city of Ogden and Putnam County, run the numbers in my own Excel spreadsheet, based on my property tax cards, and then took it to Steve Pierce's office and had their employees check it and run the numbers, gave them a cost of square footage for the construction itself, and they said that the number I used was actually on the low end, and then they said plus I didn't take into consideration any of the improvements, which would be the anything, they tax everything. So those numbers are actually on the low end. Those are just the roads specifically. And they asked me if I wanted to change that, and I said, no, I want to leave it on the conservative side, just so those numbers are not misrepresented later on. So the number will be there once it's completely finished. And they have been checked by the tax assessor's office.
Any more questions, comments? Not hearing any more. We'll close this portion of the public comment section and consider approval on second and final reading of ordinance 643-19 to amend the zoning classification of the 5.23 acres on East Main Street from R1 and CA to I1. For my part, I think that there has been a good faith effort made on the part of the landowners, and I think that we've made a good faith effort to study it and to look it over. And I would consider going ahead and tabling the second and final reading of the ordinance to allow more time for Mr. Savage and for our council to look at everything and make sure that we are all in agreement as to what we're doing and how we're to accomplish it. That would be my thought on it. But if I hear, I'm going to go ahead and make that motion that we table the second reading until we've had a chance to review the documents and make sure that we accommodate everybody's concerns. So that's my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Black?
Mayor Fowler,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris,
No.
Honorable Bilbrey,
No.
Honorable Hawkins,
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
I'm gonna go no. I think they've been through planning and then one session here. I think I need some more before I can table it. Why not just adjudicate it now? What's the concerns? Maybe I should have asked that before your motions. I apologize if that's a little out of order.
Quite all right. The document as presented, the conditional covenant or the restrictive covenant, you know, in trying to consider all bases, that, as you pointed out earlier, can be revoked. Should something just out of the ordinary happen and something with this property that they don't anticipate, and they sell it, perhaps, that restrictive covenant could be lifted. Then it could be any of these uses that were just explained. I'll ask Danny if am I considering that correctly?
Well, I think you are, Mayor. I mean, and certainly a restrictive covenant can be adjusted if that comes to pass. And I normally try to give conservative advice, but if I were being a little bit more aggressive, I would just tell the city that if it notices that something's happened, just zone it back. and unless they've begun an operation that's permitted, then they wouldn't be grandfathered in. You know, of course, if they built this structure, it would be grandfathered in, which is, be,
Right.
you wouldn't wanna
We wouldn't have a
rezone
problem
it now
with
if you
that.
didn't have a problem with
No,
that, yeah, so.
no.
I would certainly take steps to zone it back to something else if I saw that that was not being constructed, or that, that was being taken down to replace with some other operation that you didn't agree with. And if you have a concern, I mean, there's nothing to say that you can't create a different zoning structure that just allows for mini storage. I mean, you know, you're talking about light manufacturing, you can create a MS, zoning that's special to this topic that doesn't allow any other use, if that's something that is a concern. So there's options for sure, but I think they've tried to provide a restrictive covenant to give you some comfort.
Yes, and like I said, I appreciate their good faith effort. That was, and as organized and as outlined as it is, I had absolutely no objection to it, except for I just wanted to feel a little more comfortable that it could be as ironclad as we could make it.
Have you had reviewed what they've sent?
I've reviewed the restrictive covenant. Mike and I talked about that after the last meeting, and then again recently, and he provided me a copy in advance of recording it, and it looks as good as you can get in the form of a restrictive covenant. I had a concern after the last meeting. Of course, I wasn't here. I had to have somebody cover for me because I had another situation, but I had a concern after the last meeting about a contract zoning, where there was some talk about, let's enter into a contract to do this or that. And we generally don't do contracts with zoning, and so I didn't want to do anything. I know the city and the council is very protective of this and wants to be sure that nothing else is gonna happen, and in some measure, you're restricted as to how far you can go with that because you can't do contract zoning. But I think the restrictive covenant that Mr. Savage has proposed is very good. If you wanna be more restrictive, I think you have to almost create a new zoning category that only allows certain limited uses. But of course, that would have to go through the planning commission to do that, if that's something that you had a concern about.
Upon Danny's mention that it could be rezoned back if you all chose to do so, if they sold it and did anything with it, would have to come through planning for a site plan review plus get a building permit. So I think that would give you notice if they were to do anything outside of what this covenant is doing, or if they tried to remove the covenant, you would have some notice, because they couldn't just proceed with building anything in that without still having a building permit and coming back to planning for a site plan review.
So if we tabled it for a month, what are we getting?
I don't know that there's any additional study that I can do to give you advice, but if you want more protection, I think my recommendation would be to go back to the planning commission and have them create a special zoning district that's different than anything that you currently have. And you can do that. You get into trouble when you start creating all kinds of different zoning districts, and you don't wanna have proliferation of every situation that could occur. But I've had an opportunity to talk with Mr. Savage about it and look at the documents, and I think that it's as good as I can help you make it with the current paradigm that we have. So I'm not sure that there's anything I can do for you with additional time, unless you think that you might wanna consider sending it back to the planning commission to create a new district.
We could do both, couldn't we? I mean, and maybe, is that the concern here? Is that do we have too much storage? I mean, I assume are showing you've got a need for it. I mean, why not do both? I'm just throwing that out there, talking about, thinking.
Well, I don't know, I don't think that we have too much, especially, I'm not aware if we have anything like what they're proposing, certainly not anything as nice and as you know, what that will be. Are you aware of anything, Keith?
We don't currently have any covered RV storage to this caliber. We've got some uncovered RV storage that's just open lot. There are units like this farther up on 111, and they're building them as quick as they can throw them up and filling them up as quickly. So this is a growing need, and it continues to be a growing need. And I think they've tapped a market that will be a good business for them. That would be make good business sense. I don't think it's going to hurt us. I think it would be a benefit to us as well.
So would you like to stick with your?
Yeah, I think I think unless there's some reason to table it that is, you know, of some concern, I think they've done all their diligence, and I think they're entitled to an up or down, or maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. And I will say I was not here at the last meeting. I apologize. I was sort of not here. I don't know if there's something else I'm missing. I'd love to hear it.
It's just exactly what we were talking about, is just trying to make sure that they were protected as well as the city, and based on that, the motion to table has failed, and so I would now entertain any other motions by the council.
I make a motion, we go ahead and pass it as it is at this point.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Ms. Platt, would you call the roll?
Mayor Fowler,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris,
Yes.
Honorable Bilbrey,
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins.
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to item number 6, which is to consider approval of first reading of ordinance 644-19, which amends the employee handbook regarding vacation leave. And since Mr. Morrison deals with that, I am going to turn it over to him to explain what this proposed ordinance will do regarding vacation leave.
The vacation leave was requested to be reviewed by council members, so we've took this into consideration. Currently, employees after 1 year through 9 years get 10 working days on their anniversary date, or 80 hours. At 10 plus years on their anniversary date, annual leave, they currently get 120 hours. We have changed that to where they accrue it monthly, so that they're getting time more routinely. It's not an annual thing. They get it ongoing in a smaller scale. We also changed that to where after 30 days, they begin accruing hours per month, just like they do sick time. So from 30 days to 1 year, they would accrue 7 hours per month. For 1 to 4 years, they would accrue 8 hours per month. For 5 to 9 years, they would accrue 9 hours per month. For 10 to 14 years, 10 hours per month. 15 to 19 years, 11 hours per month. 20 to 24 years would accrue 12 hours per month. And 25 plus years of service would accrue 16.7 hours per month. In doing this, we also increased the vacation cap before it rolls to sick time, because this is going to increase some of our longevity employees with more time. So now they can accrue up to 320 hours before it rolls to sick time on December the 31st. On December 31st, anything over 320 would immediately roll to their sick bank. The other thing we've done here, employees can currently cash out half of their accrual based on their years of service, so they can either cash out 40 hours or 60 hours. So to ensure that cap did not get exceeded, I've included language in here that would keep that between 40 and 60 hours as the cap, depending on what they can accrue in 1 year, so that they can still cash out up to 50% with a maximum of 60 hours. There's still the regulations of if they are out for 15 days in any calendar month, they would not receive vacation for that month, so they would not accrue any time for the month. There's also the stipulations of how they can take it. They can take it in piecemeal, a few hours at a time, a day at a time, and then seniority for 5 or more days in a row would take play on who can take vacation time at any one day. Also, some employees are currently at some period through their annual leave accrual already. So if this takes effect, we would calculate what their current number of months are that are completed towards their next annual accrual and credit them at the current rate, which is either 6.7 hours per month or 10 hours per month, so that they do not lose any of that time that they've already worked towards with it being an annual accrual as it is currently. And I think that covers it all. There was some concern last night at the work session that the 10 to 14 year employees are remaining at the 10 hours, which is what they currently have. That all other employees received some kind of additional benefit, whether it was just an hour or two. If you wish to change it, you could amend the 10 to 14 to 11, the 15 to 19 to 12, and the 20 to 24 to 13, which would push employees at their 10-year mark to getting an additional 2 hours, and it would push employees at 25 plus years to getting an additional 3.7 hours per month. However you want to do that.
Have you done an assessment as to how much this will cost? I mean, this does appear to be a benefit, an increase in our benefit offerings from the 10 to 14 years and on. I like the concept of everything up to 10 years because you're giving those employees new employees benefits right away. But I'd be curious to know, is this going to be a substantive increase in
fiscal cost isn't going to really change because these employees are taking the time off. Where the change would be is that we're going to balance schedules. So the week that they're off, the additional week or 2 weeks, just is a week we're one man short that we work around. Mr. Jones does a real good job. Chief does a good job making sure we balance those and that coverage doesn't change, so we still work efficiently at that rate. So I don't think that's going to hurt us. I think the employee morale is going to go up because of this additional benefit. Employees are pretty excited. I think also what you may see with a monthly accrual is maybe some of the employees don't wait to take it 40 hours at a time, so maybe they take a Friday off and a Monday off and get a long weekend, and it may stretch out more, which is what some do now. Employees now don't really abuse the benefit. A lot of them try to save hours in case they have an event where they may need some time. So most of them don't take their annual accrual anyway. I don't, never have. I know Victor doesn't. And several of the employees still have time every year. Some take a week off, some cash out a week, so if they get a bonus check at Christmas to buy family things and do stuff like that. So it varies depending on employee, but I don't think the fiscal damage is going to be there. I don't think any additional employees are going to buy out time. I think it's going to be a very small number. We do have a few that buy out time here and there, but it hasn't been anything that we can't absorb and hasn't cost us any issues at this point.
So the cost is really just going to be from when there's going to be more people taking time off,
right?
Which is time off is important. It's
right.
It's health. It's going to be more on the staffing side. So do you anticipate anytime you're a reduction of? I mean, you're talking about a reduction in staff, a reduction of officers on the street, reduction of city workers doing the infrastructure work. I mean, you two down here, do you anticipate any issues? Are you able to cover it as of now?
They manage, and I think that's the key component is that the management deals with it appropriately. There are safeguards in place where there's not too many people taking a whole lot of time off together, so you don't have 8 of the 9 public works employees off at once where Victor and I are out fixing a water leak. So I think it comes down to a management issue, and I think the guys do it well. We've improved how we monitor it. We keep up with calendars that's visible. Employees can see it so that they know when people have already asked off, and they can kind of work around each other. So I think it primarily comes down to that staffing and management issue, and I think we can handle it. The guys are up to it, and they do a good job with that. So.
There probably is some small fiscal cost in the increase of the cap from 240 hours to 320 hours when somebody leaves, so there may be some additional 2-week of benefit that could have to get paid out. So I think there is some fiscal cost. I don't know how. I wouldn't think it'd be terribly significant.
Yeah, it feels like there might be some, but I don't know.
Most of it's like
That 10 to 14 years, they should get that 11 because they're not getting any climb at all. Like the rest of them.
So you could amend those 3 to 10, 12, and 13 if you want to.
I make a motion that we amend those to 11, 12, and 13.
Is it 10 to 14 to
Yeah.
11, 15 to 19 to 12, and 20, 24 to 13?
Yes.
Say that one more time.
She's amending the 10 to 14 years to be 11 hours, the 15 to 19 to 12 hours, 20 to 24 to 13 hours. So 25 would still stay at 16.7, which is an additional 3.7 hours per month at your 25-year anniversary. At the 10-year anniversary, you would get an additional 2 hours per month over the previous year. I would say, too, this helps us with recruiting as well as retention. One of the issues that we've run into routinely with new hires is they have to wait a whole fiscal year from their hire date, or rather a whole annual 1 year to get any time. At 30 days, just like we do with sick pay, they would begin accruing 7 hours a month, which isn't a full day, but it would allow them time if some kind of personal issue or something came up that doesn't fit sick time, that they would have a few hours to take off if they needed it. And that's been a really difficult issue at times, because a lot of employees that leave another employer have a bank of 40 or 50 hours that they've accounted for, or have scheduled vacations a year in advance, and so leaving to come to another job without any time can be a deterrent at times. It's not always, but it has been a sticking point for some of our hires, and so I think that that's a good option for us to offer as a recruitment. The other thing is, if they leave less than a year, they do not receive this vacation time. They have to reach that 1 year date before they would be entitled to take the vacation if they were to leave for any reason.
So the way I'm looking at this, I'll share my opinion, never shy. You're looking at a big milestone of, jumping from 10 days to 15 days at your 10-year mark. Is that the right way of looking at it? You're actually at 10 years, you're going to get 16, so just over 3 weeks vacation at 10 years, correct?
A day and a half over 3 weeks.
A day and a half over 3
Currently,
weeks.
10 plus years get 3 weeks.
Okay, and then 15 years.
You're going to get 18 days.
18 days. 20.
20, 19 and a half.
So you're going to hit that 4-week mark or 4 weeks off at 20 years, and then 25 you're going to get the big jump up to 5.
Correct.
Which anybody that's here 5 or 25 years, they've devoted their life to us,
They have.
and that's just the right thing to do in my opinion.
They've put a lot of time in. One thing too, you had mentioned holidays. They do get holidays. But I have to attest for these guys, there's a lot of days on the holidays that we've been out working.
Do they get credit for that?
They do. We pay them overtime, but at the same time, they're out on a holiday, away from the family working. I know Victor and I have been out on Thanksgiving together working water leaks with several of the guys. And Victor doesn't get the overtime. on the holiday. You know, we try to balance him off a few hours to make up for it somewhere the next week or so. But these guys work hard. I can assure you that if I have to stay after and do something, they're going to stand right beside us and work. And so I think this is just a testament to what they do and a deserving factor for them. So.
All right, we have a motion before us made by Ms. Norris to amend or proposed ordinance 644-19 regarding the additional vacation hours for each completed year of service. As it's shown, and as we've been over, it would just move. The only thing that changes would be the 10 to 14 years at 11, 15 to 19, 12, and 20 to 24, 13. So those would be the amendment to number 644-19. So there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Blatt?
Mayor Fowler,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris,
Yes.
Honorable Bilberry,
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins.
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes. If something happens, if we come up with some other more fantastic idea in between now and then, it's not gonna require another first reading, will it?
No, I think it can still be amended up to final reading, okay?
Okay, just wanna make sure.
Item number 7, consider approval to declare a surplus a 1996 Honda Civic, which was seized by the police department. I think that was a drug seizure. And so any monies that would come to the city if we were to be able to sell this Honda Civic would go into the drug fund. So I don't know, Mr. Morrison, you want to tell us kind of what shape it's in? Or?
It's worth money and I can sell it. It's a little red. It's a Honda hatchback. It's got some funky rims and low profile tires and faded paint, but I can assure you it's worth money, and the chief is just itching to see how much I can get out of it. So.
Give it to Public Works, let them.
Meter reader.
Don't leave your ink pen laying around, Lisa. He'll sell it.
I'm telling you, still I asked him as if we'd let him, I think. So I will make a motion that we declare a surplus this lovely 96 Honda Civic as described by Mr. Morrison, seized by the police department. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Ms. Blatt.
Mayor Fowler,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris,
Yes.
Honorable Bilberry,
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins.
Yes.
Honorable
Yes.
Hill.
All right, now that it's almost Christmas, we need to consider item number 8, which is the approval of an agreement with Mark's Pops to provide fireworks for the 4th of July celebration in the amount of $8,000. It's my understanding, I know we've used Mark's Pops for several years now. It was explained that he is very familiar with our setup and with the safety concerns, the fire marshal's regulations, and we want to consider this at this time so that he can plan for us or before, he makes another obligation. So I would consider a motion then to go ahead and enter into an agreement with Mark's Pops to provide fireworks on the 4th of July celebration in the amount of $8,000.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, Ms. Flatt.
Mayor Fowler,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris,
Yes.
Honorable Bilberry,
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins.
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
That is all of the items that we have for consideration. However, at this time, it is time for Mr. Morrison to bring us up to date on anything in the city.
Christmas parade is this Friday, December 13th at 6 p.m. It will start at Allgood School. The Allgood School special needs students for the elementary and middle school are the Grand Marshal and honorees. There are 21 students who will be riding in the UCHRA Ride and Go buses. They'll be providing the transportation as part of the parade, so we do appreciate their participation and all of our participants. So we're looking forward to that and hoping for great weather. We're hoping the mayor can pull off another miraculous moment. So when she flips the switch on the parade, it's going to start snowing Friday. So I would encourage you to be here to see that. The Ride and Go, which is a UCHRA bus service, also known as the CATS bus service in Cookeville, is now currently operating in Allgood. It comes through every hour. We're still working on timing. The current stops for Allgood are Walmart, Rolling Meadows Apartments, Allgood Housing, the Senior Center, and the library. Quinlan Ridge Apartments, Garden Grove Apartments, and Greenwood Place Apartments. So it's coming through the town, goes over towards the post office and makes its round. It is available for flag down. If you're on the sidewalk and the bus is coming by, you can raise your hand and flag it down, and it will stop and pick you up. It is $1 each time you get on the bus. You can ride the bus to the hub in Cookeville and catch a bus to Nashville or other locations in Cookeville. The Walmart stop is the first return stop coming into Allgood, so if an Allgood resident is at Walmart grocery shopping, once they board the bus, they will be delivered straight home. You can call in an hour ahead of time and arrange for a special pickup, and they will drive off route and pick you up at any location. We do have passes downstairs that we can sell 30 bus passes for $25. And we return the money to UCHRA, and that way you can start your pass as soon as you get on, or you can buy passes at the hub. Disabled or elderly riders are half price, so they can ride for 50 cents each time they get on the bus. The passes are also 50 cents if they want, or half price if they want to buy them downstairs. We think this is a great service for the citizens, and we're excited for the opportunity. The bus ride is free all week, so if you want to get on the bus and ride, you can take a 1-hour trip and make the full route and come back free of charge this week or for a canned food donation. We do have information downstairs if you need the number. We're going to be working on putting up signs with the phone number. A couple of the stops in Allgood will have specific times, like 33 minutes after the hour that the bus would be anticipated to be back there every hour. It will not leave that stop until that time has been reached. It may come after time if it's running a little behind, and then the other stops will be to help make up time. So this will be running routinely. Currently it runs Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. As ridership increases, they will add Saturday as well as addition hours in the afternoon. However, between 6 and 7 o'clock, if you wish to be returned home, you must be on the bus at 6 o'clock. If you don't get on at 6 and make your way to your stop, you will not make it home on the bus because it won't be back through. Farmers Market, the bathroom block wall has been installed as well as the maintenance closet, and we're moving forward. The Vocational Technical School, Councilman Bilbrey advised us would be leaving for vacation soon, so as soon as January 1st hits, we anticipate moving forward on the construction of that facility and have received quite a few compliments on it. As well as the sidewalk work that we are completing. We also applied for a TDOT grant for our traffic light at Walmart to improve the pedestrian crossing signs. I have spoken with TDOT and fine-tuned that a little because they weren't sure exactly what we were looking for. And so we do have that grant that is in. That is a non-matching grant, so we're hoping that we'll do well on that, but it is a competitive grant, so we'll give it a shot. Chief, anything?
All right, do we have any citizens or that would like to speak, ask a question, have an issue? Hearing none, then I would make a motion that we adjourn with our next meeting scheduled for January the 14th.
I'll second.